What's up, everybody? It's Miguel coming to you from the city of Baltimore. And yesterday, Saturday, April 25th, 2015, we had a protest for Freddie Gray, if I'm not mistaken, that's his name. He died, well, he got seriously injured in custody with police, and then he died later on. And so there's a black guy, and that caused the protest. And the protest happened yesterday. The initial protest was supposed to go from some part downtown, and they marched to City Hall. So they did all of that, but then around like 6 o'clock or something like that, the protest moved its way down to Oriole Stadium. And I think that's exactly where the violent part of the protest started happening. A couple of people got beat up, a couple of windows were smashed, cars was broke down, stuff like that. Because of that, it brought up one of the things that I've been thinking about myself lately, which is protesting and the actual effect of a protest. Now, I could be completely wrong, so I want to put that out there before I start talking about it. But from what I know, from different parts in the history, different places in the world, protests as far as marching and all that, peaceful protests as far as marching and all that, has a tendency of not doing anything to help the cause. Now, I might get solidarity between the people that want the cause to change, but as far as actually getting the people that they want to change it, I have no recollection of any time in history where it's actually worked. And that's not for me to say that that violent protest is the way to go, even though usually violent protest is the one that really gets things moving. It does say something about the idea that you should, to go out and march and do sit-ins as if that's going to change anything, which I don't think that's the case. So you could bring up, only times I could think of that might be brought up in a situation where I'm saying this, somebody's arguing the fact that it does work, is the bus boycott for civil rights, Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks and all that, bus boycott, and the peaceful protests for the Indians with Gandhi trying to get the salt. I think it had to do with salt tax, or they couldn't have salt in general, or something like that. And that was against the British, if I'm not mistaken. So, granted, both of them were peaceful protests. Both of them actually had some change after a period of time. Oh yeah, you can bring up the Egyptian Springs too, which was recent. All three of those has had some change. All three of those were done in a peaceful manner, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know about the Arab Springs. I said Egyptian Spring. I don't know about the Arab Springs, if it was completely peaceful, but I know it was set up to be peaceful. Every time those things happened, though, it wasn't because of the protest. So the marching and all that happened around the same time as the bus boycott didn't stop or change civil rights for blacks in America. What changed civil rights or what helped blacks with it when it came to um, rights on the bus and all that was the fact that the people lost a bunch of money. So it was a boycott that changed things, not the march in itself. And the march in itself, for the other type of civil rights, didn't help. What helped, for what I know, is the fact that it started becoming live on TV, just like Vietnam War. Wars were a big deal initially because nobody really saw what happened except for the people that was at war. And then you started getting live feeds of people getting blown up and all kinds of stuff like that. And then people started having concerns and it's like, hey, this isn't right. And so that's what happened with the civil rights movement. The president starts seeing firsthand. The president starts seeing it firsthand that that people getting their head cracked open that's not doing anything. They're just sitting around walking, and the police and they're sicking dogs them and all that stuff. This is crazy. We got to do something about it. Just like with the British and the Indians, people start finding out about it. People start seeing how they was treating the Indians, and the fact that they've been doing it for years, if I'm not mistaken, for years of the peaceful protest, and they getting beat up, beat on and stuff like that, and nobody's doing anything back. Then other governments was like, hey man, you that's not right. You better change. And then the British government's like, okay. It's just like the Arab Springs. People were protesting. The guy in power was like, screw you guys. I'll wait you out. And then other government was like, hey, you better do something about this and get out of power or something because people don't want you. And if you don't do it, we're going to step in. And then it's like, okay, let me chill out. So in every sense, to me, there could be a better explanation, but to me, in every sense of those situations, it wasn't the peaceful protest or the march or anything like that that had any effect on changes of laws or mentalities of people that the protesters were trying to get. So I always say, marching doesn't change anything. And like I said before, I'm not a man that's for people going through rioting and destroying property and attacking people and all that to prove a point. But that has the greater chance of something changing over anything, especially since we have already had a couple of marches for a couple of black guys that died because of police actions, and it still hasn't changed anything yet. You know what I'm saying? Now, there are moments in history where people have gotten a tad bit violent, and did the whole mob and riots and stuff like that, and things have changed. And that was like the one thing that pops in my head for that is the French. The French got pissed off because it's so much of a dynamic difference between the wealthy and the poor. Got fed up, and they did a march with pitchforks and all kinds of stuff like that. But the thing is, the difference between that and what happened last night, from what I could tell, is what makes the difference is that even though I don't agree, and saying that hopefully you can convince somebody otherwise. The French went after the people that they deemed were responsible for the problem. So, you know, they took that march. They went through the city, went through the Capitol, went to I could be getting my history wrong, but they went to the Capitol, went to the rulers, the king and the queen. I think it was a queen then. I don't know, and all the aristocrats, and rioted their areas, and then took them and cut their heads off and all that stuff. But they took the fight to the people with the problem, with who they had the problem with. Here in the city, and most times the riots happen when it has to do with when a riot has to do with like persecution or something like that. People have a tendency of rioting and destroying things that have nothing to do with the people that they're upset with. So, my father was telling me about the riots that happened when Martin Luther King died. He said that that night, I think, after they found out he died, people got upset, had a riot, and they destroyed. I am supposed to turn here. Am I supposed to? No, I'm not. They got upset and they rioted like in a whole bunch of different cities all over the country. And what they did was they destroyed whatever that was around them, So they just started destroying like they started destroying stores and cars and probably some houses and all that. And it's basically like your own neighborhood, and the people that you're quote unquote mad at, which would possibly have been, the government and all that, they're still chilling back, perfectly fine. Which doesn't make any sense because all you're doing is, it's like what you're doing is you get mad at a guy for smacking your mom, right? So the way to show him that he shouldn't have smacked your mom is to take a dump in your room. It's like, what does he care that you just took a dump in your own room? You gotta do something to him or to his stuff for him to care. I mean, what's the point? So, the best, the best deal, which is once again what I'm against. So I'm against is you would have to do something to the people you're pissed off at. And last night, what people were pissed off at was the cops. But instead of doing something to the cops, which I'm not, what I'm saying, I'm not for. But, instead of, doing something to, let's say, government property, rioting and destroying government property, you just go around destroying 7-Elevens and people's cars, random cars that's on the street, stuff like that. And then thinking that that's somehow gonna get police officers, if you think all of them are bad, somehow it's gonna get police officers to be like, oh, you know what? I guess we shouldn't be like that to these guys. Let's chill back. Nah. And it's not gonna make the rest of the public also agree to your sentiments and your feelings about the situation. You just flip somebody's car over that had nothing to do with it, that was probably in the house minding the business, because you're upset, and then that person's supposed to agree with you. Like, yeah, flip somebody else's car. No, they're gonna be mad. So I don't know. I just think that people, when they get upset, they want to, they want some type of action, and it reminds me of, uh, it reminds me of crying basically. I used to say that crying. I think I gotta go past here. Oh, that was it. Shoot. Um, nah. Um, it's like crying. You know, you get so upset that you want some action. You want some type of action to happen, and you don't know what to do. So the only thing left is to start crying, type of thing. That's how I see it. And as I see it, when mobs go nuts and they start doing some stuff, torching things, it's like I'm really angry. I want to do something. I don't know what else to do. Instinct kicks in because mankind has been rioting and mobbing for thousands of years. You know, instinct kicks in. This is what people do. I'm gonna start rioting and mobbing. And of course, that doesn't help any. But you know, what else am I supposed to do? So, whoa. So that's how I think about it. I think I don't know. You know, rioting is not going to help, and I think also that just the fact that people have to go to marches and do things like that because that's how they feel the only way people are going to pay attention. That's like the worst of it all is the fact that you're not going to listen or pay attention to what's going on to this community and these people until they start marching in the street and possibly get violent. You know, that's kind of sucky. You know, because it's not the first time that crazy stuff has happened between people and cops, and it's damn sure not the first time crazy stuff has happened between a black male and a cop. And yet, you know, over 50, 60 years of stuff like this going on, it's still like a shock. Huh, there's no way it's happening. People keep saying, yeah, it's happening. It's been holding on for a long time. And people just be like, that's not true. And then they start paying attention to you. It's like, God damn. How many times do you gotta say, look, some stuff is going down, you know, it's not cool, but people just be like, eh. Alright, well, that's all I got for you. Um, so, if you catch me on the streets, make sure you shoot me a heads up display. And also, if you got some ideas or something like that, you got something to say, make sure you leave it in the comments. But like I said again, hit me up, shoot me a heads up display if you see me in the streets anywhere, and I'll talk to you guys later. Give me a head nod. Up. There you go.